Hey everybody, welcome to the 5onCast. It's your ever-living co-host, Patrick Downs. And today, we have a very, very special guest. Typically, I'm joined by Francois and Amy, but today I'm joined by Nikki Ivey. And we're going to be talking about something that you will find, as she says, hashtag relatable, because you've probably heard my crusade for mental health and the idea about self-care for the other. And that's something that Nikki wants to talk about today. So Nikki, please introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Nikki and I'm ubiquitous. You may have seen me on these internet streets talking about things. So I am a sales development professional. I have been a salesperson for more than a decade, which I know ages me, but F that stuff that means we're supposed to be shy about growing up. I'm a whole grown woman and I've seen some stuff, and a lot of the stuff that I've seen and things that I've experienced, um, you know, my insights are a little unique on them because of my journey with, first recognizing and then being treated for mental health and sort of the intersection of that and a lot of the social issues that we're seeing come to the forefront now with respect to race and diversity. So when I say self-care for, others, onlys, and allies, I mean others as in, folks who don't really see themselves as part of the situation at all, part of the equation. And then, the onlys are like, I've been this person on a sales floor where I'm the only woman, the only Black woman, or the only Black person. And then allies, those folks who see that something's up that needs to be fixed, but, also are taking on, in a lot of cases, a new level of stress in thinking and talking about these things every day than they're used to. So all of it requires that we take care of ourselves. And so yeah, I guess I didn't really tell you a lot about me and my background, but that's what LinkedIn's for. Let's get to the getting.
I love that you use the word ubiquitous, by the way. I think you just took the vocabulary level of my show and just shot it in the stratosphere.
That's what I do.
You just shoot things in the stratosphere?
I'm all about that multi-syllabic life. Feel me? Like, I am a repository of SAT words.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
I was an English major, so I had to at least pretend to care about that for a while, and then I ended up actually caring about it, which is always fun. And
yeah,
I've been, go ahead.
I studied journalism, which means I know these words, but cannot spell them to save my life. So.
It's okay. The internet completely made that not important at all. Grammarly exists.
Yes.
I love Grammarly. But I really appreciate you talking about self-care for these groups of people. I feel like self-care is a thing you might see like on Instagram, and you'll see like a lot of very popular white Instagram influencers going like, you got to take care of yourself, and then they just try to sell you like a facial scrub. So like when you look at self-care for the others, onlys, and allies, why do you think that's so important, especially at a time right now?
Because, and I was talking to a young woman last night who falls into the ally category, and I asked her, just, how have you been? I noticed that we were both on LinkedIn at like 2 a.m., which, as for starters, isn't probably healthy. And so I was like, I wonder if she's doing what I'm doing, right? Which is, either trying to fill my cup with, messages from people who are telling me that I'm making a difference or helping them, or just getting re-mad about all the stupid and uninformed and just mean things that get said. And she was doing the latter. And so I was like, look, why are you putting yourself through this? And she says, there's so many conversations to be had. The problem is so big, and I can't walk away from these teaching opportunities that seem to present themselves all over this platform and all over my life. She was saying to me. And so I just kind of had to give her this pep talk. And one of the things she said was, I don't feel like I have the right to set these things down because you, being a Black woman, can't set these things down. And so if I'm really an ally, then I got to be in it 24/7, alongside you. And I said, look, even I, as a person who walks around in this skin and is regularly engaging with these issues, even I have to challenge myself to set it down. And it doesn't mean that I don't care. And it doesn't mean that, I think my work is done. It just means I'm a whole entire human being who can only run on the fumes of, the passion and adrenaline that I have for this cause for so long. So in a way that I hadn't really paid attention to before, because I have been very locked into what myself and other folks who have been the only in these work and sales environments in particular are up against with respect to the social climate. I hadn't let myself think about, well, what are the, the allies and the others up against? I'm a deeply empathetic person. So I think I just kind of felt in the force that that this particular person needed me, and that message needed to be told. And that's part of the reason why I wanted to talk about it today.
I love that you mentioned the Force, because I always picture social justice to be like a midichlorian almost. And social justice midichlorian should probably be a punk band name, but I'm
Yes.
going to coin that and put that to the side for later.
Okay,
I'm glad you agree.
If you don't make it a punk band name, it will be the name of my forthcoming memoir or my mixtape. It could go either way.
Ooh, you're making a mixtape.
Yeah.
Can we get like first publishing rights on the mixtape? Because I'd be down to brand that. That's very exciting.
I think we have to make that happen.
All right, let's do it. But you bring up a lot of interesting points there, and I do want to unpack a little bit of it. When you talk about the allies, like they have to be always on, where do you feel like that's coming from?
I mean, honestly, it's flat out guilt a lot of the time, right? The guilt that comes with just being hit with this realization that maybe you kind of knew what was going on. And now that you know, if you do nothing, you're culpable morally, right? The realization that these are not political issues that are being discussed, right? And even the goal, right? While there are some policy asks within it, even the goal is not inherently a political one. It is a moral goal. So once you start to feel that moral imperative, and you're confronted with it in the kind of direct way that a lot of folks are only just now, I mean, because these are young people a lot of the time, that a lot of people are only just now being confronted with. I mean, I understand there's probably a flood of a lot of different emotions, and guilt has got to be pretty high on the list. Even if you understand that you're not individually on the hook for systemic racism, knowing that, okay, I'm the same person who, rallied around what some might say lesser causes, or causes where the stakes weren't as high. So if I am who I say I am, then I have to give that same energy, so to speak, to these issues. And these people who are being affected by it are people who I know and love and care about and work alongside. So I think that there is on a part of a lot of people a genuine desire. They're genuinely compelled to do something, and I think that's a hallmark of this generation of millennials, right? I think they get a bad rap a lot of the time, but they're believers in things and carers about other people. And so if you're already predisposed to that, and then a cause such as this presents itself, I really do understand that feeling that, hey, I can't set this down.
And I always love the opportunity to use big words now that you use one too. It's kind of like a synecdoche, right? As well, because like the part is always part of the whole, and it's representing the whole. Because like as a millennial, you're going to take your whole self into whatever you do, whether that be like allyship or work. And I found that a lot of people in the millennial generation burn themselves the hell out with everything. And the problem with that is you stop being effective. I'm sure you've experienced that, right? Like, because the end goal should be to be effective at whatever you do, whether that be like the fight for social justice or even just your job or self-care. We're not always hitting that point, though. We think we're being effective, but we're just burning ourselves out.
That's exactly it. You feel like you're doing something, but and that helps in the moment. It's just feeling like you're doing something, because feeling like there's nothing you can do, ain't that a pit of despair? So I totally understand it, but we got to take a step back sometimes, and I think that's an interesting part of myself that I've gotten to find, because being a person and only a person who experiences these things. And, since I think I was 5 years old the first time I got called the N-word, right? So being a person who engages with race so regularly, I can tend to center my own feelings, which I guess is okay, but then prioritizing them over everything else and forgetting about other humans' experiences, especially if those humans are people who I believe care about me and who I want to come along with me on this road to progress. Um, at a certain point, you kind of got to work with people and, have empathy for situations outside your own. I mean, isn't that what I'm asking for? So I may as well give it.
That's a good point. And since it seems like, from at least an outside perspective, you're doing a pretty good job of taking care of yourself. I mean, it looks like you took a shower, you look happy, you look like you got some sleep last night. What are some of the things you're doing to take care of yourself and make sure you're focusing on you?
Okay, I have, and everybody probably can't do this, but I have a little boy. I have several children now. I have 4 kids. The youngest among them is Lennox, and he is 11. He turns 12 this month. And that kid is like a freaking blanket, bro. Like, his cuddles are a healing to the soul. So my child Lennox is hashtag self-care. He is. So if you have family, right? If you have family to surround yourself with, like, stop ignoring them. Your family is not less important than, laying the smack down on some in-law that said something dumb on on Facebook. And your family are typically the ones who you're fighting for in all of this. So, for me, just trying to keep that in mind in those moments where I am just like, the gif of the cat that's just like, that is me all day long. So when I pull myself away from that, it's because I'm like, oh, okay, here's what I can affect right now and what actually does affect me in a really positive way. So being around family, cuddling my baby is self-care. Beyond that, it's kind of silly, but Britney Spears is self-care.
It's not silly.
Here's what that looks like. Sometimes, I think it was, Jennifer Lawrence. Somebody was on like Tonight Show or something, which is where I imagine myself anytime I'm on a podcast. She was talking about how maybe that wasn't her, but she was talking about how she listens to Britney Spears in her headphones whenever she's on an airplane because no one could ever die while listening to Britney Spears. And that idea stuck with me. Like, nothing can be bad when Baby One More Time is on. Like, only fun things can happen. So I turn on Britney Spears as loud as possible, and I dance around in my pajamas or underwear or face mask or whatever it is that I'm wearing. And I just let myself remember that good things still exist in all of this mess. And that, I'm made of happy, fun, sunshine stuff, and that's okay too. So, and for everybody, it might not be Britney Spears. Britney Spears is a lot of people's personal nightmare. So maybe for you, it's Beyonce or Miranda Lambert or Taylor Swift or something, whatever it is, just that thing that reminds you all of the joy that you have once tapped into and will tap into again. That's what I do.
That's amazing. And you're so right. It would be totally inconsistent for something bad to happen while listening to Toxic by Britney Spears. It just wouldn't make sense.
Impossible.
If your life was a movie, it would be like some sort of weird decision from like an auteur, if it is going to be a bad thing happening, right? Like Stanley Kubrick deciding to mess with your expectations by playing Britney Spears while someone gets murdered or something.
Listen, you know who would do that? It's Quentin Tarantino.
He would do that. He has done that.
Tarantino, and somebody is getting like slashed with a machete to the tune of Britney Spears' Toxic, like in Django when that's what I was Tupac song came on. Listen.
That's exactly what I thought of.
I freaking stood up in the theater. No piece of music has ever fit any piece of cinema as well. Side note. Anyway.
That's such a good scene.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. That's what I'm. So in my mind, it's like if you were like in context, Britney Spears is like this montage in a rom-com where she had a meet cute with some guy at the coffee shop, and now she's like figuring out what she's gonna wear on the date, you know, and there's like some cute pop song playing. Because I am Reese Witherspoon actually in all of my fantasies. Just kidding. I'm like, if Rihanna and Reese Witherspoon had a child, a very charming
Wow.
child. Anyway,
That's putting it
that
lightly.
got weird. That got weird.
It's putting it lightly.
So that's what I do. It's silly stuff, you know. I have my kids rank the Toy Story movies and then tweet it and see who agrees with me. And usually it's everyone, because Toy Story 1 is definitely the best Toy Story movie, obviously.
Look, we're in a good spot right now. I don't want to start a fight with you, so I will not give you my ranking. But
listen, three is an acceptable answer.
I feel like if somebody's listening to the audio right now, they missed out. So like, check the YouTube channel for that part specifically.
Yeah, audible gasp. That's what happens.
Gasp. This always happens on my podcast. There's like a visual thing that happens that I'm just always like, well, that happened. Now you need to go watch it again on the YouTube channel to give me double the streams. It's always nice.
I end up usually describing it. I'm like, you can't see what I'm doing right now, but. And then when I listen to it, I'm like, Nikki, that doesn't work. But I keep doing it.
I was listening to a podcast the other day, and they were describing drawings that listeners sent in for like 20 minutes. I was like, that's a great thing to do on like an audio-based piece of entertainment, is to like,
I love it,
hold up some drawings, which will be in the next episode of the 5onCast. But you know, we're running up on 3 minutes here. The 20 minutes has gone by very quickly. What are some takeaways that you would give to somebody listening to this that maybe fits into the group that you described initially, and maybe they've lost professional care or they're having a hard time staying positive and listening to Britney Spears?
Yeah, I think not being afraid to ask for help, which I know is super general, but that when in my darkest times, that's what's happened, is internalizing some level of shame for needing a break or for needing help, for not being normal, which if you know me, like I never had a shot at that. If you've met my mom, you know, I've never had a shot at normal, and thank God. But so, you know, getting over that hump. So for me, it's I say things out loud or I post them so that I can hold myself accountable later, and so that I can give myself something to look forward to. So lately for me, that's looked like I like wigs, weaves, and extensions, and so I wear blonde on the weekend, so I can look forward to the weekends and put myself in this mind frame of I'm having more fun. So whatever that blonde wig is for you, find it, forgive yourself for needing it, and then tweet about it or post about it like, hey, it's almost blonde weekend. And then when the weekend comes, when you're inevitably depleted and you're so run down, you know that you said this thing was going to happen, and now you can look forward to it. And somebody out there that you went to high school with on Facebook is going to love you in this blonde wig. So that's a pick me up if ever I heard one.
That's an amazing takeaway. And I think for me, my blonde wig would be an orange wig, because I've always secretly wanted to be Raggedy Andy.
I have an orange wig. It is
really?
It's called, yes, the color is neon tangerine, and I wore her to go see Megan Thee Stallion last October.
I'm feeling so many emotions from that sentence. We're going to have to talk more after this, but that was amazing. Thank you so much for coming, Nikki. What is the best way for people to connect with you online? Is there anything you want to plug?
Yeah, it's like we talked about at the top of this. I am ubiquitous. So if you are in these internet streets, you will see me in these streets. LinkedIn is the best place to find me. I live there. And you can engage with my SDR geared content on sdrdefenders.com. I also have a Bravado group called BDR Breakthrough. Like literally I'm everywhere, but if you need to get a hold of me in the moment, chances are it's 3 a.m. and I'm looking at LinkedIn on my phone, and you will find me.
I just want to say the SDR Defenders thing is awesome. I've checked out some of the stuff on your website, and a lot of like the written content is amazing. So anyone listening to this, please check it out. And the Bravado community is also incredible. Any of that, you can't go wrong. But if you want to connect with Patty D, please LinkedIn. Anywhere else, I won't be there. Like, I logged into Instagram twice this year. So definitely do it through LinkedIn. Please check out 5 on Friday. We're looking for presenters. So Nikki, you're also open to that if you want to come on and pitch whatever you want to pitch. We're looking for people to come on
Obviously.
5 on Friday. Yeah, definitely going to
Done.
be there. And check us out on YouTube, but that's pretty much it. That's all I can plug for now. Thank you for listening to the 5onCast. I'm your forever living host, Patrick Downs. And I'll hopefully see you next time. Say goodbye, Nikki.
Goodbye, Nikki.
Yeah, I had to do it.